The other thing is like, in the past, a lot of the toy scene, especially the core stuff, has been pretty sort of like male. A lot of male artists, a lot of male figures, and I don't. There's a lot of really great female artists out there, so I've actually do my best to find like as many good female artists. I'm seeking for parity, because the female artists, they've got their point of view on stuff, and I think it's a really great one. And I'm looking for color and story and like positive energy in our releases. And we're looking at some new artists that like they're not so much from the toy scene, but they're like graphic artists that are a little bit better known, with like really bright, colorful, simplistic imagery that has like sort of like a positive social aspect to it. That's a program we're embarking on. We're getting some interesting licenses we've never had before. A lot of this stuff is kind of secret till it comes out. And a nice thing is a lot of our licensors who in the past were pretty conservative, like, you've got to make it look just like it is, are now letting us sort of do sort of more experimental things with their characters. Like Brant Peters' Harley Quinn figure, for example, is something in that range where she's actually like this weird puppet and stuff. So what I'm continually pushing for is, we do both license and art toys, and for me the sweet spot is when we can merge the two. We can do like an interesting license with an artist, like the Care Bear stuff that we've done. We've got Hello Kitty stuff coming out that way. We've done some DC stuff that way. And I think that's great because that's really accessible to a lot of people. And collectors like it, but then also people that just collect sort of normal action figures kind of sometimes get turned on to like a different version. They get interested in some of the artists, and then what I'm saying? So there's like a crossover action going on. So what I've been doing at KIDROBOT, so I've been over there for 3 years full time, is sort of breaking down some of the boundaries and doing some remixing and trying to bring sort of the playful, colorful aspects of it back.
That's awesome, yeah. And like I was saying, with the Soho store, I mean, that's like a hangout of mine. Like mine and my friends would go down there and see what was new. And I remember the big thing for us was, what was it? It was the Ultraman. I remember that was probably one of the first ones I was like, oh, that is so cool, because you guys had a lot of anime and kind of influences then, and it was like, that blew me away, because again, I'm kind of like a child of like 80s, 90s, so, the whole anime scene and that thing was great, because, I love the whole,
Well, right now there's a whole new generation of sort of street artists coming out of Southeast Asia, guys out of the Philippines and Thailand and Singapore. And these guys all started as like muralists and stuff, and then they started getting into doing sort of designer toy stuff. And we're picking up some of those artists too. And some of those guys are really cool because they kind of have that sort of early 90s vibe, but it's a new version of it with a lot of Asian like mythology and stories mixed into it. So it's a really cool mix. And so you're going to be seeing some of that coming out in the next couple of years, like by guys like Rucket and Quicks. Nice. Guys like that, if you're familiar with them.
Yeah. I thought I saw a few of those. I don't remember the artists' names, but at 5 Points there were some people that were doing that whole.
They've been sort of started off, a lot of them working in resin, small reproduction, but some of those guys are just fucking great. So we're picking them up and doing them in vinyl.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So just to sum it up, what do you think you see this year being the KIDROBOT's kind of like mission to kind of either develop more relationships like crossover wise with different companies, or expanding the brand? Or
what we're doing is the landscape's changed in the last 10 years. And so our job right now was to continue making really quality stuff with as much art involved in it, but reaching out to a wider audience through every channel. So, we're being successful. We're getting like pure art toys into Hot Topic, for example, like the Arcane Divination 1 series, which is all Dunnies, it's all artists. It's, really like not commercial, but Hot Topic's carrying it. So to me, that's mission accomplished, right? Because the thing is that like, if you live in a big city or a college town, you have access to stuff. But then there's like a bunch of people that like, they're living out in the middle of Iowa or something. They don't really have access to like the specialty scenes that we do, living in cities, right, like we do. But there's a Hot Topic in their town, and hey, they can get turned on to something that's like, kind of happening. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like in real life, like not just looking at it online, but being able to interact with it. So I think, to me, like I'm pushing the artistry, pushing interesting stuff into the mainstream is kind of like my big mission, actually.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, and
my
I
pleasure.
really appreciate your work. I'm a big fan of KIDROBOT, like I said, and hopefully we'll revisit and hear more about what you guys are doing. Thanks so
Right on,
much.
brother.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot.